Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this evening's semi-final debate. My name is Matthew Sutton and I am the chairman of this debate. The timekeeper is Jacko Connor. The debate will be judged by a panel of 3 adjudicators who are Miss Burrows, Mr. Mortars, and Miss Chill. The topic for this debate is that the children should be allowed to roll down the hill. The affirmative team seated to my right is from Emmaus Christian College, and the negative team seated to my left is from Pulteney Grammar School. The speaking time for this debate is 4 minutes. A single warning bell will be warned before the speaking time, and a double bell will sound at the speaking time. Please ensure that your mobile phones are switched off. I declare this debate open and call upon the first affirmative speaker, Daniel Forder.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic of this debate is that the children should be allowed to roll down the hill. We, the affirmative team, believe that this statement is true. We define the topic as children, being people not yet fully grown, should be permitted to descend the hill located at Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens by lying down across the slope and letting gravity rotate them down on their sides. As first speaker, I'll be telling you about the joyous and positive effects that hill rolling has upon children, and how Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens Hill is perfect for children to roll down. Our second speaker will tell you about the democratic and legal rights children have to roll down the hill, and how there is negligible danger caused by rolling down the hill. Our third speaker will rebut and sum up our team case. My first point is that by forbidding children to roll down the hill, we are depriving them of fun and valuable developmental opportunities. We all know from personal experience that rolling down hills is tremendous fun. Just think about how much you laughed the first time you rolled down a hill, and probably still do. That's why rolling down a hill is listed at number 2 out of 50 things to do before you're 11 3/4 by the UK's National Trust. A quick internet search reveals heaps of literature wholeheartedly endorsing and recommending hill rolling as a positive developmental activity for children. According to Angela Hanscom, a paediatric occupational therapist, quoted on the Children's Nature website, rolling down hills develops a child's vestibular system, which is the part of the inner ear that provides you with a sense of balance and spatial awareness. According to speech pathologists at the Regina Speech Centre, walking back up the hill after rolling down is great for developing the children's core strength, which helps them support their speech muscles. Adrienne Voss, the director of the Play England organisation, states that adventurous play teaches children how to assess and take risks. On September 4, 2017, the International School Ground Alliance released a declaration with research from around the globe demonstrating the benefits of risk-taking for children. When making the decision whether to roll down a hill, children are in charge of determining the level of risk they want to take, physically, emotionally, and socially. They build confidence and learn for their life ahead from these decisions. My second point is that unlike many hills in popular public areas around Adelaide, the hill at Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens has ideal characteristics for children to roll down. This hill is perfect because it is just the right angle, not too steep that it is dangerous, but not too gentle that it is boring. It is nice and smooth, without potholes or mounds, and it has lush, soft grass to minimise chances of cuts and scrapes. Because of the thousands of young families that visit Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens each year, this hill has probably been responsible for more beneficial development of our children than any other hill in South Australia, and now it's being effectively shut down. So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, children should be allowed to roll down the hill. This perfect hill for rolling has no no doubt, help tens of thousands of our young people to develop strength, sense of balance, and life skills. What are our short-sighted and fun-killing bureaucrats going to stop children from doing next? Sliding on slippery dips, riding on bike paths, swimming in the sea? Thank you.
Call upon the first speaker, Lily Koch.
Botanic gardens are different from public parks in that they're living museums filled with valuable living collections. For this reason, some activities have the potential to damage or destroy valuable plants. This quote is from Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens website. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our debate. My name is Lily, and I am the first negative speaker for the topic that children should be allowed to roll down the hill. Debating SA provided both teams tonight with a link from the Adelaide Advertiser about a sign placed in the Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens. The sign says, "For your safety and that of others, please do not engage in sliding or rolling downhill. Tonight we will show you that children should not be permitted to roll down this hill." First of all, I would like to point out some flaws in their case. The opposition tried to tell you that children should be allowed to roll down the hill because it is fun. This is an appeal to public opinion. We agree that it is fun, and we agree that kids should roll down a hill at a park or reserve if they want to have fun. We disagree that they should be able to do it at a botanic garden. Set places have set rules depending on their function. They also try to tell you that children should roll down this hill because it is perfect for rolling down. However, children should roll down a hill at a place that is appropriate for this activity. Tonight, as the first speaker, I will be talking about the difference between a botanic garden and a park, and also how these rules are nothing new for botanic gardens around the world. Our second speaker will be talking about the relevant law, the role of parental authority, and the serene nature of the park, and our third speaker will rebut the opposition's arguments and sum up our case. Ladies and gentlemen, my first point is to show you the difference between a park and a botanic garden. According to the National Parks and Wildlife Conservation Act 1978, a botanic garden means a scientific and educational institution, the purpose of which is the advancement and dissemination and appreciation of plants. Compared to the purpose of a park, which according to the National Parks and Wildlife Act of 1972, to provide for the establishment and management of reserves for public benefit and enjoyment, provide for the conservation of wildlife in a natural environment, and for other purposes. The laws passed by parliaments around Australia recognises the difference between the two. Ladies and gentlemen, the act of rolling down the hill at the Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens contravenes the purpose of a botanic garden, as noted by the relevant legislation. Such an action does not aid in the advancement or appreciation of plants. Children should only be allowed to roll down a hill in a reserve or park, which is designed for public benefit and enjoyment. An example is the Wrigley Reserve in Glenelg. My second point is that signs that simply request people to not roll down a hill is not rare for a botanic garden. According to Tivoli.org, people who attend Claude Monet's garden in France are not allowed to have picnics and are only allowed to take photos from the walkways. Espacepourlavie.ca states that there are at least 26 rules for entry to the Montreal Botanic Gardens in Canada, including the fact that no one may climb on or damage any of the trees, works of art or buildings. The Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens also state that there are other rules for entry, including not flying a drone in or above the gardens, not damaging or removing plants, and not entering a garden bed. Therefore, children should not be allowed to roll down the hill at the Botanic Gardens, as the request made in the sign is reasonable and is similar to rules made at other botanic gardens. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I have shown you 2 points. That being, botanic gardens and parks are 2 different things with different purposes. The act of rolling down a hill belongs in a place designed for physical fun, rather than at the Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens, which is made for the appreciation of plants. My second point was that rules like the one on the sign are in line with other rules made of botanic gardens around the world. Therefore, for the reasons stated, children should not be allowed to roll down this hill.
I call upon the second affirmative speaker, Ryan Mill.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for this debate is that children should be allowed to roll down the hill. We, the affirmative team, believe that this statement is true. The first negative speaker tried to tell you that the Botanic Garden is different to a park. This is true, but this does not mean that children should not be allowed to roll down the hill. As in Canberra, people were allowed to roll down the Parliament House, one of the most important buildings in Australia. Our first speaker, Daniel, has told you that hill rolling is great for children's development, and the hill at Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens is perfect for rolling down. I will talk to you about 3 points. My first point is that the children have a democratic right to roll down the hill. Australia is a democracy. This means that the will of the majority of people should be listened to and played out in society. It is the will of the public, as 2 independent poll results show from the Advertiser and Today Tonight, respectively. Of more than 3,000 people that responded to the Advertiser's poll, 94% said that the children should be allowed to roll down the hill at Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens. In the Today Tonight poll, a whopping 97% of participants agreed that it should be allowed. People in positions of power should listen to the majority of public and act. My second point is that the safety risk posed by children rolling down the hill is negligible and doesn't even come close to justifying a ban. When asked by Channel 7 why they had put up the sign advising people not to roll down the hill, Botanic Gardens Board said it was due to an incident around 8 years ago, where someone crashed into another visitor who broke his arm. Let's get this into perspective. 1 accident in the last 8 years and no serious accidents since. People break their arms walking upstairs, but we're not going to ban stair walking. Talk about a delayed overreaction. My third point is that there is no legal reason to stop children rolling down the hill at Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens. The Botanic Garden is in no danger of being sued for negligence. Under Section 32 of the Civil Liability Act, a person cannot be sued for negligence if they failed to take precautions against an insignificant risk. As previously mentioned, this is an insignificant risk, as there's only been 1 accident 8 years ago. The board is also under a legal duty, according to Section 13 of the Botanic Gardens and State Herbarium Act, to establish and maintain gardens for the use and enjoyment of members of the public. However, by banning the hill rolling, the board is killing the public's enjoyment. In conclusion, the children should definitely be allowed to roll down the hill. Children have a democratic right to roll down the hill, and there is no justifiable legal or safety reason for the ridiculous ban. As a quote from a comment on the Advertiser says, "South Australia, the state of no power, no jobs, and now no fun." Thank you.
I call upon the second negative speaker, Curie Thucker.
Rolling down in the Mount Lofty Botanical Gardens and a regular park are two very, very different things, says Environment Essay. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Curie and welcome to our semi-final debate. The topic for the debate tonight is that children should be allowed to roll down the hill, with a link provided. This link in the topic that is provided is an article from Adelaide Now called Children Banned from Rolling Down Hills at Mount Lofty Botanical Gardens. We, the negative team, agree that children should not roll down this hill. Before I state my points, I would like to point out some flaws in the opposition team's case. The second affirmative speaker tried to tell you that people are trying to ruin the fun for other people. But guess what? The fact is there are many other hills to roll down that are far better than the Adelaide Botanical Gardens. And the government makes these rules to look out for the safety, purpose, and entertainment for the people. He has also tried to say that it should be allowed because it's a popular thing to do. After all, we do live in a democracy. Firstly, I would like to point out that this is a fallacy and it's appealing to public opinion. And there is no proof that it's popular except for the words of one family and a sign. And we do not always do popular things in certain places. So, our first speaker, Lily, has showed you the purpose behind the Botanical Gardens and how the rule placed here is actually very reasonable. I, as the second speaker of the negative team, will show you the relevant laws, how this relates to parental authority, and will discuss the serene aspect of the gardens. My first point tonight is that the state government has already passed a stringent law that relates to this debate about 10 years ago. In the essay Botanical Gardens and State Herbarium Regulations Act 2007, Section 23 relates to acceptable behaviour of people who visit the botanical gardens. Part 3 of this section states that a person must not engage in any activity that may endanger the safety of any person or animal in a botanic garden or reserve. Someone breaches this, they can also be fined $2,000 or face 1 year in jail, a Division 7 penalty. According to the Adelaide Now article provided to us for this debate, the sign was erected after an incident in which a person sliding down a hill crashed into another visitor who suffered a broken limb. Therefore, the legislation makes it really clear that children should not be allowed to roll down the hill, as doing any such activity may endanger the safety of any person in the Botanic Gardens. In fact, it already has. My second point is how parents are abusing their own parental authority by allowing their children to roll down this hill when the sign clearly says no. Parents breaking rules in front of the kids is like robbing a bank in front of the police. It is breaking the rules in broad daylight where everybody can see. What will the next generation learn from if their own parents are breaking simple rules for their own safety and for others, or because they want to roll down this hill? My final point is that mindful aspects of the Mount Lofty Botanical Gardens are very important for growing minds, and rolling down hills is disturbing it. According to Dr. Kirk Strossell and Dr. Patricia Robinson of Mountain View Consulting Group, research indicates that brain training involving mindful practices can strengthen areas of the brain responsible for attention, emotional control, and problem solving. So in fact, there are many organisations that teach mindfulness in the Botanic Gardens due to this tranquility, including Splash Adelaide and Living Mindfully CBR. Allowing children to roll down the hill in the Botanic Gardens ruins experience for other people, including those trying to appreciate the plants and enjoy the calming nature of this place. So, Mr. Chairman, as far as our team is concerned, children rolling down hills is history. Thank you.
upon the third affirmative speaker, Cameron Coggins.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for this debate is that children should be allowed to roll down the hill. We, the affirmative team, believe that this statement is true. The first negative speaker has tried to tell you that the no rolling rule has been implemented in other parks and is therefore reasonable. This is wrong, as just because this rule and others like it have been implemented elsewhere doesn't mean it's right. It only means that they've made the same mistake. The first negative speaker has tried to tell you that kids should roll down a hill in a park designed for recreation rather than the hill located in the Botanic Gardens. There may be plenty of recreational parks in Adelaide, but not many of them have hills suitable for children to roll down. There are even fewer in public areas such as parks and gardens, and the hill in Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens is particularly important because it has so many visitors every year. This means, as our first speaker has told you, that thousands and thousands of children benefit from this hill. Therefore, this hill simply cannot be compared to just any hill. The second negative speaker provided a law stating that it is illegal to commit any act endangering others. People have to take responsibility for their own safety to some degree. It's obvious to everyone that if they stand on or at the bottom of the hill, then they have to look out for children playing on the hill. It's similar to going on a playground. Everyone knows that they shouldn't stand behind the swinging swings. Besides, if the Botanic Gardens Board really insists on signs, it would be much better to have signs advising people to exercise caution due to children playing on the hill rather than signs banning the rolling. This evening, our first speaker has presented you with comprehensive evidence to show that rolling down hills nurtures a plethora of beneficial physiological and life skills in children. He also told you that this particular hill contributes significantly to our children's collective development due to its ideal rolling attributes and high number of visitors. Our second speaker has articulated 3 more very powerful points. Firstly, he told you that there is overwhelming public support to allow children to roll down the hill, and Australia's democratic political system demands that the will of the majority be followed. He also told you that rolling down the hill poses an insignificant risk to public safety and, as such, does not give rise to issues of legal liability. So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, children should be allowed to roll down the hill. To disallow them to do so is utterly draconian, unnecessary, and robs them of good, healthy fun. The Botanic Gardens Board should come to their senses, remove this ludicrous restriction, and let the good times roll again. Thank you.
I call upon the third negative speaker, Abby Douglas.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that children should be allowed to roll down the hill. We, the negative team, believe this statement is false. The first affirmative speaker tried to tell you that not letting children roll down this hill is depriving them of this fun. He also provided you with many statistics from professionals as to why this is true. We completely agree that rolling down hills is good is good fun and good for children for taking risks. Except a botanical garden is not the place to do this. There are people walking around trying to have a nice time among many of native flowers that you could also roll into and get hurt or kill the native flower. He also tried to tell you that the Botanical Garden hill is an ideal hill to roll down. I don't think that an ideal hill to roll down is one with many native trees and plants across it. 1, this could kill the native trees and plants, and 2, you could get hurt rolling into a tree. An example of a hill that is good to roll down is Wiggly Hill Reserve in Glenelg, which is like a big bowl, perfect for rolling down and with no trees to get hurt on or kill. He also tried to tell you that society is beginning to stop more and more stupid things. This doesn't relate to the fact of the Botanical Garden hill. They've only put this rule in because of liability claims. You could get hurt in the hill and just turn around and sue them for something that they tried to tell you not to do. The sign is just a safety precaution for them to use in court. The second speaker tried to tell you that in Canberra you can roll down the Parliament House steps. The Parliament House steps do not have native plants and flowers that you can roll into. This is not going to kill any plants, and you're probably not going to hurt yourself doing this either. He also tried to tell you that many poll results showed that people want to roll down this hill, and it's a democratic society, so why not? These poll results are online. People could vote twice, and most people won't even be able to find this site, so the poll is not showing correct and equal results. He also tried to tell you that there's only been one accident in 8 years. This accident could have led to liability claims that could have, shut the park down. As I said before, this sign is only there as a safety precaution in court. He also tried to tell you that there are no justifiable legal rights. If you look at the 1972 liability claims law, you will find that there are many rights stating that if a safety breach is caused, you can be sued very easily. Our first speaker spoke to you about how botanical gardens and parks are very different things. A botanic garden is a scientific and educational institution, the purpose of which is the advancement, dissemination and appreciation of plants, and certainly not the place for rolling down hills. Her second point was that the Mount Lofty Botanical Gardens are not the only botanical gardens in the world that have such rules, so this is not uncommon for such rules to be put in place. This demonstrates that a polite request on the sign is reasonable for botanic gardens and is not something that came in on a wave of political correctness. Our second speaker has spoke to you about how refraining from rolling down the hill below the sign at the Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens is actually a law, which was enforced after a person got hurt after rolling down a hill. Her second point was that not following rules clearly written on a big bright yellow sign, parents are abusing parental authority. Her final point is that the Mount Lofty Botanic Gardens can be a big help for mindfulness. There are already organisations that teach this in the Mount Lofty Botanical Gardens, and rolling down this hill will disturb this activity. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, the Mount Lofty Botanical Gardens is a place of beauty. We need to stop treating it as a playground to roll all over, and as a society, learn some respect and just tell those children no. Thank you.